This is a $118,000 Lexus that has both front and rear locking diffs. It's also got massaging seats and 33-inch all-terrain tires. Either Lexus engineers have lost their minds or they've created something revolutionary. After a week in the dirt and on the streets, I've discovered there's a fundamental contradiction in this vehicle, and it might just change the way we look at luxury off-roaders. What's it like? Buckle up, my friends. Let's go for a drive. I'm your host, Brian Makse Racer, lover of driving fast, fun things. And on this channel, you get reviews for drivers from drivers. And we did test the GX Overtrail, and now there's an LX Overtrail, and there's clearly a pattern here. Something's going on at Lexus with this whole Overtrail idea, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But putting off-road capability in their biggest, most luxurious off-roader is an interesting concept. And before we get into what this is like to drive, let's have a look at it in a little more depth. This starts properly with body-on-frame construction, and the LX 700h is actually related to the big Land Cruiser that we don't get in North America, as well as the Sequoia and Tundra. With its off-road intentions, there is a front skid plate underneath. The power unit starts with a 3.4-liter V6 twin turbo, and there's an electric motor sandwich between the engine and transmission. Combined, they make 457 horsepower at 5,200 RPM and 583 pounds of torque at 2,400 RPM. The transmission's a 10-speed automatic. This is full-time four-wheel drive with a 2-speed transfer case. And because this is the Overtrail, it has front and rear locking diffs. Steering's electrically assisted. The suspension is ridiculously sophisticated. Starts with double wishbones at the front, multi-link at the rear. It is height adjustable, capable of roughly adding an additional 5 inches of ground clearance. Dampers are the adaptive type. Wheels are unique to the Overtrail. They're 18s with 33-inch all-terrain tires. Towing capacity is 8,000 pounds. Curb weight is 6,260 pounds, which is exactly the same as 3 Miatas, a 6-pack of beer, and a Labrador Retriever. It's capable of fording 27.5 inches of water. There are some improved departure and approach angles for this Overtrail. Of course, there's advanced driver assist, but that goes for both on and off-road. And there's a 2,400 watt AC inverter for powering external equipment. Also for this Overtrail, there's a new waterproof battery tray that's divided into upper and lower sections, clearly designed by engineers who triple bag their phones at water parks. Did you know that 80% of you are not subscribed? Yes, it's true. 80% of you are not subscribed. I checked the data. So if you like the content on this channel, do me a solid, hit that subscribe button, make sure you like this. And if you want to support the channel, please hit up our merch store. Links here, links below. Lots of great stuff for driving enthusiasts like us, including our very popular line of Save the Manuals merch. Now back to your regularly scheduled episode. Behind the wheel, I'm very happy, but one of the reasons I'm happy is because I'm short and the hit point of the seat is actually fairly low, so I don't need to use those running boards to step up into this LX. From there, I'm faced with a modern Lexus steering wheel, great shape, great size, and the seat is big and comfortable, but I'm positioned well in this LX with great visibility. Because it's an LX, the seat is very big. It's very comfortable. Lots of adjustment in this. It's heated, it's cooled, and it's got a massaging function. This has all the luxuries that you'd expect from a modern high-end Lexus. There's more than enough adjustment in the seat and the steering column for pretty much anyone to get comfortable here behind the wheel. And then I've got a great relationship to the steering wheel and to the pedals. Some aluminum or alloy shift paddles here on the back of the steering wheel, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Do have to talk about this automatic shifter. It's the same shifter that debuted in the LC many years ago, and it is an electronic shifter, but it's just got a great mechanical feel to it. I like what Lexus is doing with these shifters. Ergonomically, it is on brand for Lexus, which means it's all very straightforward, very easy to understand. If you're coming from another brand, there's really no learning curve here, so not to worry in that regard. There are some additional controls because this is an Overtrail, but otherwise this is very simple and straightforward. We do have two different screens here, and this might be a Lexus thing. I don't find it necessary, but every once in a while there is some information on the secondary screen that I do find useful. Another thing about Lexus interiors, every button, switch, dial is so well finished and has such a great feel. It just seems like all of these things will last multiple lifetimes, well beyond the useful life of this vehicle. I don't think anything in here is ever going to break or the finish is going to wear. It just is exceptionally well done. The infotainment system is modern Lexus. I use it on wireless CarPlay. As you can see, there is a wireless charger here, and my phone's been staying there, despite the fact that we have been doing some off-roading today, which is a surprise, although we haven't done anything crazy like jumping this LX 700H, but it seems to stay there just fine. I don't like this wireless charger for one reason. It doesn't seem to be switchable, and if you have a phone case, for example, that you use as a wallet, have some cards in there, well, wireless charger and your bank cards, your credit cards are wholly incompatible, and you might have a problem on your hands if you place your wallet on this thing. In terms of visibility, it's excellent in here. Tall glass all around, large outboard mirrors, and then Lexus finishes off that whole argument with a camera mirror. So these camera mirrors are great because the lenses that are mounted to the back of their vehicles have a wider field of view. And with that wide field of view displayed here, combined with adjusting your mirrors properly, blind spots aren't real. One of the things I really appreciate is this view mode, is a simple switch over here. And because this is a narrow gap, I can see exactly where my tires are tracking so that we can get through this without scratching this LX in the least. Love it. In terms of spaciousness, I have some thoughts here. Now, in the front row, lots of room for you and your front seat passenger, lots of room to get comfortable. No issues here whatsoever. There's a decent amount of storage here as well. And this armrest storage also does double duty as a cooling box. And since we were doing some off-roading today, I actually packed my lunch and it's in there. In the second row, tons of room, and I actually like the fact that this has a bench in the second row. The third row is where I have the issue. I didn't bother to fit back there, although it does look spacious. If you got some kids that will have to go in the third row, that's fine. But for me, that's never a consideration. I can't remember the last time I had to use a three-row vehicle. It's been a long, long time. I wouldn't use this at all as a three-row SUV, that's for sure. And on top of that, if you don't get the third row, you've got a lot more space under the hatch to carry all of your gear. For fun, I looked at our review of the previous generation LX, and I have to say, this infotainment system interface is so much better than that previous touchpad, which was kind of like having to explain NFTs to your grandparents. I have to say, after some time in this LX, this interior walks the tightrope between luxury and practicality better than anything I've driven in a really long time. And the thing is, I've been treating this LX like every other off-roader I've tested, minus the excessive empty Red Bull can count and the bag of Jolly Ranchers. No, I'm just kidding. I don't consume those things, but I know some of you off-roaders do. Seriously though, nothing's stained, nothing's scratched. It's like Lexus consulted with both interior designers and parents of toddlers, creating a space that makes you feel special without making you feel anxious. And as far as I'm concerned, ultimate luxury isn't about having nice things, it's about having nice things that you'll actually use. The Overtrail project is Lexus's ambitious answer to a question that nobody asked. What if off-road enthusiasts want massaging seats with their rock crawling? They launched this whole idea at the 2023 Tokyo Outdoor Show, and it's a global initiative that merges the brand's luxury with serious off-road capability across multiple models, including the GX as well as this LX 700H. Unlike most OEMs that offer appearance packages and call it off-road ready, Overtrail models get legit hardware upgrades, including locking diffs, front skid plates, upgraded suspension components, and all-terrain tires that can actually handle more than a dusty vineyard road. With this Overtrail project, it's like Lexus decided that if you're going to get dirty, you shouldn't have to give up the luxury experience, a philosophy that simultaneously explains why this LX 700H Overtrail makes no sense at all and perfect sense at the same time. That acceleration definitely paints a smile on my face. This is quicker than it has any right to be. I think Lexus says this will do 0 to 60 in 6.4 seconds officially, but I think 0 to 60 is well under 6 seconds. And for those who are curious, top speed's limited to 137 miles an hour, which is definitely fast enough. It should come as no surprise, but what is impressive is how the whole hybrid system works together. It works together so seamlessly. The engine will switch on and off seamlessly. The electric motor powers this thing as needed. Then it just augments the gasoline motor's power and torque when you need it. In the automotive world, one of the essentials to a true luxury motoring experience is having an abundance of power and torque. And for me, the best thing about this power unit is how much torque it makes and where it makes it. It makes peak torque at 2,400 RPM. It's all available through the middle part of the rev range, which is exactly where you need it. So even we're cruising for 40 miles an hour, tip into the throttle, instant acceleration, and the best part is the transmission is not hunting for gears to give you the acceleration you're asking for. The transmission's definitely tuned for a big luxury SUV experience. You do have manual control over the gearbox with the paddle shifters, which I have been using, especially off-road and even on-road. They work just fine, but on the road, when we're enjoying this through some corners, however, what I find is that the transmission is not as quick to shift as I'd like. And in reality, that's my fault. I keep forgetting that this is an off-road oriented luxury SUV, and I shouldn't expect supercar transmission shift times. I didn't get a chance to drive this in any snow, but I can say the four-wheel drive system with these tires have a lot of traction in wet, rainy conditions. You have all the traction you need anytime you're looking for it. Fun fact, the locking diff system in this LX costs more than my first 3 cars combined, and yet it activates with a single press of a button, which is something that even I can't screw up. This is the switch for the locking diffs, and these are the real deal. They're mechanical. It's not an electronic simulation by any stretch of the imagination. When you click the button, that forces all 4 wheels to rotate at the same speed. Unlike some other luxury competitors who use brake-based traction control and call it off-road mode, this is authentic hardware that forces torque to all 4 corners, regardless of which tires have traction. And in this segment, it's the difference between digital processing and mechanical certainty. And in off-road situations like this, I'll take mechanical certainty all day long. There's just a little bit of gear whine from those locking diffs. Gotta love it. That tells you it's definitely a mechanical system. While some competitors might give their SUVs 17 different ambiguous off-road modes to choose from, Lexus actually keeps it pretty simple. Dirt, mud, sand, snow, and I don't know, Lexus, you figure it out auto mode. And while your serious off-roaders out there might scoff at automatic terrain detection, it uses data from wheel speed sensors, steering angle, pitch and roll, even wheel slip, and it continuously adapts to changing conditions without any driver input. We've been driving through sand, deep water, mud, hard-packed dirt, and the system adjusts seamlessly. For somebody looking at an SUV with this kind of capability, the auto mode reduces the intimidation factor of going off-road. One thing to keep in mind with this LX 700H is that it is full-time 4-wheel drive. It's not a part-time system. The transfer case is electronic. It's switchable right here, and your options are 4 high and 4 low, and that's it. This suspension is the closest thing to automotive black magic I've experienced in a really long time. On one hand, it's perfectly capable on the road, balancing ride comfort and handling, and then adds genuine off-road capability as a third spinning plate. When we put it in 4 low, the suspension automatically raises. That's pretty cool. And then we can switch on the locking diffs. Apparently, the suspension adjusts 96 times per second, which is the same frequency as my wife's eye rolling when I explain that I have to do another track day. What's mind-boggling isn't the technology itself, but how seamlessly it all kind of comes together. On the highway, it delivers the kind of isolated comfort that makes you check if your passengers are still breathing because they haven't complained in hours. Hit some corners and the suspension tightens up to give you the confidence to carve a proper line with this 6,000-pound behemoth. And then when we're off-road like we're doing now, it somehow has enough articulation to keep the wheels planted on terrain that looks like the aftermath of a geological temper tantrum. It's like having 3 different vehicles you can access through a single mode selector. You've got a luxury cruiser, a decent handling SUV, and then something that can conquer some off-road trails. And the only other place you're going to find that kind of versatility is with a politician during an election year. In addition to this having the advanced driver assist systems that you'd expect from a high-end Lexus in 2025, it also has some off-road driver assist. Basically has off-road crawl control and downhill assist, so it's kind of like off-road cruise control. Makes your whole experience off-roading that much easier. Steering is direct and precise, and given that this has genuine off-road capability, the steering rack is appropriately on the slower side, which helps us navigate things with a little bit more precision when we are going off-road. But what I was astounded by is how maneuverable this LX is. When I first got into this and made a tight turn, I thought to myself, this must have 4-wheel steering, but indeed it doesn't. This has great articulation at the front wheels, but this is exceptionally maneuverable for such a large vehicle. It's very impressive, very easy to park even in the tightest of spots. And since we're heading out onto the road, let's go back to basically on-road mode. So we're going to go to neutral, turn off the locking diffs, and we're going to go back to 4 high, and now we've got a regular LX 700h again. The brakes are powerful, and on the road I got a tremendous amount of confidence with that brake pedal. It's just fantastic, and even off-road we've got precise control with that brake pedal to make sure that we don't run into things and make sure that this LX is tracking on the intended path. Even through these corners, the LX corners remarkably flat despite its 6,000 pound plus curb weight. On the road with these 33-inch all-terrain tires, there's not a high level of grip that you would expect in a more performance-oriented tire, because these are indeed all-terrain tires and they're more intended and certainly more useful off-road. But in the wet, in the dry, you've got all the confidence in the world. On the road with the adaptive dampers, I don't find there's much of a difference between any of the modes. It's very, very subtle. You have to pay attention to really notice a difference. I find that the dampers are best in the Sport Plus mode, but even in comfort mode, body and wheel control is excellent. I just prefer the Sport Plus mode, and I don't think there is a drive mode where you're going to get any excessive secondary or any tertiary motion. Secondary motion's really not a thing in any of the drive modes because the dampers do such a good job. The best thing about this test is I'm going on dirt roads, going off-road, on the pavement. Doesn't bother this LX in the least. It's happy in any of these environments.
How do you spec yours? Well, it's a fairly easy question to answer, thankfully. What you are looking at is a Lexus LX 700h Overtrail in earth paint with the stone brown interior, and this is the 3-row spec. Base price in the US is $114,000 plus the Mark Levinson sound system at $2,660 for a total as tested price of $116,660. In Canada, base price and as tested is one and the same. This is fully equipped at $138,804, and these prices are before freight, taxes, fees, etc. If you're seriously looking at one of these, I can save you some money right now. For my American friends, the base price of $114,000 already includes virtually everything you need: the full off-road hardware, the hybrid powertrain, the gorgeous interior, and all the safety and convenience features you expect from Lexus. There are really only 2 options to consider: the Mark Levinson sound system at $2,660 and the 2-row package. The audio system is a no-brainer if you care even remotely about sound quality. As for the 2 or 3-row configuration, that depends solely on how many people you take, but if you take the 2-row spec, you get a lot more usable cargo area. Remember, you're already spending 6 figures on a vehicle vehicle. Trying to save $2660 on an audio system is like ordering the tasting menu at a Michelin star restaurant and then refusing the wine pairing to save money. And at that point, you're already compromising the experience you've already paid for. As for me, I would get it in 2-row spec because I have no need for 3 rows, and I would definitely take advantage of the space under the hatch. As well, I would get mine in Nori green. I think that's a stunning color on this LX 700H. My verdict? Well, the question I've been pondering is whether Lexus has lost their mind or created something revolutionary. And after a week with this thing, I think they've done both. The fundamental contradiction of this LX 700H isn't a weakness, it's probably its superpower. The hybrid system delivers precise torque when you need it off-road, while the luxury features make perfect sense after a day of punishing trails. Yes, at 6 figures, most buyers will never use its full capability, but this isn't about being rational, it's about refusing to compromise. It's a luxury hybrid SUV that enhances the off-road experience.
I know some of y'all are going to ask the question, is it worth the price? But that's not the right question. The right question is, does this deliver an experience you can't get anywhere else? And the answer clearly is, and unequivocally is, yes. I think I've driven basically every luxury SUV and every serious off-roader that you buy today, and nothing combines these disparate capabilities quite like this thing. It's not the best at any one thing, but it's remarkably accomplished at basically everything. So no, it's not a rational purchase, but it is a defensible one if you appreciate the breadth of its capabilities. Just don't try explaining that to your financial advisor because they won't understand it until they actually experience it for themselves. Thanks for hanging out with me today and having a look at this Lexus LX 700h Overtrail. Hope you liked this episode, and if you did, you're not new, you know what to do. Smash the subscribe button, turn on your notifications, like this, and as always, sharing is caring, so please share this with your friends, especially on Reddit, because on Reddit, they really need to see reviews for drivers from drivers. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And if you want to support the channel, please hit up our merch store. Links here, links below. Lots of great stuff for driving enthusiasts like us, including our very popular line of Save the Manuals merch. And Toyota still makes some awesome manuals. Thanks, Toyota. Anyway, thanks again for watching. We'll see you again next time. And remember, cars don't understeer by themselves, not even Lexus LXs. And since you've hung around this long, well, have a look at a different flavor of Lexus Overtrail, the GX. Drove that a few months ago, really enjoyed it, and I think you'll enjoy that episode. Thanks again for watching. See you again next time.